Another edition of Third Eye Sister Souls podcast. And I am your host, Monique Brunette. And I have a very special guest today. His name is David Graham. And David Graham comes from Birmingham in the UK. And he was raised in an Irish Catholic family, which is funny because I was also brought up Catholic. I was brought up Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it over to you in a sec, but let my viewers know that if you are new to my channel and you would be interested to learn more, please, if you can like and subscribe. This way you can get all of my content, as well as this is going to help me with the algorithm and getting these experiences out there, which I think is very important, that it's becoming more known to people about our connections with our star family. Now I'll give a little information on my guest, David Graham. And I got to put on my glasses because I don't see that good. Okay, so are a Reiki master, and also have a succession of spiritual experiences over the following years, right up until present day. And you've trained as a hypnotherapist, and also I read on here that you're a regression therapist. So I'm going to go ahead and hand over the spotlight to you, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about being a hypnotherapist and regression and how that all works.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Monique. Thank you. It's good to be on here. I trained as a hypnotherapist in 2006, and it was an interesting experience because I didn't particularly think much of past lives at the time. I was aware of them, I was open to them, but my view was, well, yeah, okay, maybe they're an interesting story, but so what? Until I was during the training, there's a module on within the hypnotherapy training on past life work, and I explored that. But right at the very end of the session of the training, my father died, and my brother was his carer. And as a carer, he didn't have much money or anything like that, and he was in his late 40s and didn't know what to do with himself because he spent his time, caring for my dad. And I know he was interested in past life work, so I offered him a session, and it was really interesting. It was really relevant and made a significant difference for him. And we went on to have 9 different sessions, and one of the features of these sessions is he made contact with what we refer to as a spirit guide, a benevolent being. That's sort of where dialogue would come up, where it'd explore what was happening in these lives and check out what the meaning was for him. And this went on, and I realised after a while that a lot of the dialogue that was going on was more beneficial for me than it was my brother. And it kind of realised that I've been invited here to explore this more. And so I did. I went for some bit of synchronicity. There's some regression training that was coming up a couple of months later, and so I was able to go on that with the spirits, the Spiritual Therapists Association. Anyway, and so that was part of it. One other interesting thing of this this period was the final session final past life session I held. And he went to a life where he was a student to a master of alchemy. Yet this master of alchemy was a woman, and not really aware of, and in a society that was led by women rather than men, which is the normal way round. And one of the peculiar issues there that really set me off on a inspired me to go forward and explore more and more was this woman, this master of alchemy, says, "Welcome, we have been waiting for you." And so just that little sentence there left my head spinning. Oh, what does she mean? How has she been waiting for us? How does time work? All sorts of questions that set me off on a path to explore more and more about how all this works. And synchronicity was powerful, even to the extent that I say my father dying at the time that he did was a powerful synchronicity, because it sets my brother up for a particular path forward, and it set me up also for a path forward, the path that I've taken. Yet, had he passed away at another point, that may well not have occurred. So there's lots of synchronicities coming up. I suddenly had a bit of money there where I could go on a regression therapy training course, which was new for me, because I've been pretty broke for a while. But yeah, so it set me off, and I went on and explored regression therapy. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. It sounds to me like it was fate for you.
Yes, it felt like that for me. There's been numerous things occur in my life that was triggered a different direction for me, and that was one in particular. And yeah. Before that, I had a spiritual awakening when I was in my early 40s, beg your pardon. Early 40s, in a Reiki attunement. I suddenly was getting visual images of real beauty tingling through my body, and where I described myself as agnostic up to that point. This is going back a few years before this. I described myself as agnostic at that point, but I suddenly realised, well, either I'm going mad or how I viewed the world, I got it very wrong. And so I drew my own conclusions from that, and as part of my exploration that led on to what I've just described about hypnotherapy and regression therapy training.
That's interesting, because that's the way a lot of people, when they have their awakening experiences, they realize that everything that they had been brought up to believe is not the way it really is. Not when we're discovering our authentic selves and our purpose. So.
Yes, I think this is really important. There's so many people that do not think enough of themselves. And I've been guilty of that. We simply don't understand how capable we are. We don't understand our abilities or our potential. And it's no surprise that we don't understand it, because we tend to live in societies that doesn't acknowledge it or doesn't encourage it, and very often simply represses our abilities. And this is an important point, really, because I think this point is going to come more and more into the news, into the mainstream, over the period that we're approaching now.
I agree. I think we're in some very interesting times, chaotic times, but also very times. Yeah.
Yes, chaotic times. Yet, if you consider, I don't know, if you baked a cake or something like that and it's gone a little skew whiff. Do you use that word skew whiff in the States? I don't know. It's gone a bit awry. And it has to be broken up before you can do something different with it, is the point I'm trying to make. And it does seem like we're in a period now where there's some disruption going on to some extent that's disrupting some of the older ways, some of the older values, to enable growth in a healthier way.
So I'm curious, when you decided to go on this path and experiences that, you were having, how did your, like, how did everybody around you, family, friends, and that,
Oh, they think I'm crazy, but they just let me get on with it. I think they think I'm a little less crazy now than they have done, and yet the material that's coming forward now just is taking us more and more into a different perspective of who we are and what we're doing here. That is quite alien to the older way of viewing ourselves. So they've been pretty good with me, really, but it's more a case of, oh, let him get on with it.
yeah, I have the same kind of family with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's just Monique,
And it's hard for any of us, really, because we're born into the mother we're born to. We live up in the family or the environment that we live in. We're subject to the attitudes and the learnings of that society, that family, and we grow up in that way. And so we take on all the beliefs about ourselves, about the world around us, but what we need to do, and etc. And we get to a point where that's how it is. And so to challenge that, to challenge, these beliefs we have about ourselves, and often they're not very healthy beliefs. They're beliefs that inhibit us, restrict our abilities. So it's not particularly surprising that we grow up and then we teach our children the same kind of thing, because that's all we know. It seems that the point we're reaching now is challenging that, and so it's kind of exciting in a way. It's exciting, yet it's also challenging us to examine our own beliefs and whether they've served us well.
Right.
Now, any of viewers don't have to buy into what I'm saying, but they can just examine themselves, and what they think and what they feel and how they see the world and how they see themselves in the world. And they might ask themselves a further question as, is this the best it can be? Can it be better than this? And perhaps our children that's been born now, growing up now, perhaps they can be taught better things about themselves, and so that's how I see it now. Maybe I should just explain when I talk about better than ourselves. A lot of us are quite psychic. A lot of us are quite telepathic, but we've never learned to be that way. Some of us are born more gifted in that way than others, yet we all have that capability, where many of us are able to heal ourselves and heal others more than we believe that we're able to. And you don't find out until you try these things. You try something different to what you've been taught before. And when you start trying these things, I would suggest don't walk away every time it doesn't work as well as you want it to. But just stick at it. What have you got to lose? And in that way, things can start to change. You can adopt healthier beliefs about ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, I'm in total agreement. I think with the old system, it being so structured and confined and, scare people away from exploring their intuitive abilities and stuff, and then uh, made to feel very negative because people who have discovered these abilities and things that they just can't help, I, for one, am one of those people. Um, you're afraid, you're taught, you're shamed for expressing that,
Mm,
I saw grandmother Rosa, appear before me or something like that.
mm.
You're going to be told you're crazy because this is what we have conditioned in society throughout generations, but it is changing. And
Yeah, and I do. It does occur to me that when people start to believe, well, maybe I have that potential within me also to find those things about me, so that I can do that. Um, and it's important to add that this energetic change is happening on the planet now, which is enabling us to be more able to explore our own potential. So if we go back 20 years or something like that's the energy on the planet probably wasn't as good as it is now, and it's the potential to explore our abilities wasn't as strong as it is now 20 years ago, yet it is becoming stronger and stronger. And when we start to give ourselves a break, really, just explore who we are, explore what our potential is, find safe ways of doing it, and it's people may surprise themselves.
I agree. So, can you explain now when you this regression and stuff, therapy connected? Can you explain about how people dealing with stuff from their past lives and that how all this can help them in this life? I really think our viewers.
Yeah, sure. Um, well, any of us have our experiences going back to childhood, going to birth. Any of us have our what we inherit through our ancestral lines on the mother or father side, and all those influence who we are and how we work. The other aspect of this is what our experiences have been in a past life or before we were born, whether in a past life on Mother Earth or possibly something else. And in those past lives, we accumulate lots of experiences. And as we accumulate those experiences, we grow. As souls, we grow. Sometimes we get a bit hung up on something or other. A trauma in a past life, and that's a trauma in a past life that it hinders our development in this life. I sometimes use it for an example. If you imagine in a medieval period where somebody is stabbed in the back, and if you imagine this sense of outrage as you realize that you've been stabbed in the back by someone you've trusted, for example, and you perhaps die at that point and your soul leaves your body, yet that sense of outrage is there. Now, as your soul leaves your body, you go off and do some wonderful things, and you come into another life, perhaps this one, and when you're born, you have that susceptibility. You're prone to this that sense of outrage that you felt in the past life, and so growing up as a child, it might be triggered here and there. So you're primed, and by the time you're an adult, you may have issues where you easily get angry. You can't control your anger, or you feel bitter or resentful, and you don't understand why. Your brothers or sisters don't quite work the same way. How come it's like that for you? Had similar upbringings and so on. How come it's like that? And so going into a past life, you can go to the root of these things, and there are therapeutic techniques to work with what's happened there. Because who we are now is an accumulation of all our experiences. So if there's a trauma that's not been resolved, somewhere within us, that energetic aspect of it is still there. And so with that example about being stabbed in the back, that's an example. Yet there are many different types of examples of issues that weren't resolved then and are still playing out now.
Rick, it's funny. I heard something a long time ago. I found it was really interesting about if someone, say, has eating disorder where they're starving themselves basically, and that it could be traced back to a past life that maybe they were poisoned. And I found that's very interesting.
Yeah, I do think that there can be a variety of sources for that, but past life experiences may well be one of those, where there's something within the person where that hasn't been resolved, that has this call it this aversion or discomfort with taking things in their body, or whatever it may be, which may have its origins in a past life. And sometimes it can resonate through more than one life. So it might occur in a past life. That example of the being stabbed in the back, it may have happened in 2-3 other occasions. So it's a real strong issue for a person in their life today. So what you say about the eating disorder, that may well be so.
Yeah, I found it interesting. A long time ago I had heard about that. So I am really, because this is always my favorite topic, when we're talking now about the ETs and that, how all this connects, because I totally believe that we have past lives. We're not going to always come back as human, and this is one of the reasons that our star brothers and sisters are reaching out to us, because we're all connected. And I'm very particularly interested about, you mentioned to me before about, I want to understand this about your connection with Arcturians.
Oh yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. As a regression therapist, I do work. Usually, people will go to the childhood or past life, occasionally to extraterrestrial lives, and so I was building a kind of familiarity with it. And I even did a research project amongst therapists about people who'd had clients with ET experiences. Just following the end of that project, that research survey, I met an old friend, and we were catching up, and I told her what I'd just been doing, and she turned around and says, "Oh, I've had a period of missing time." So we arranged to work together to see if we can explore what it was, and so we did. I met her in her home, and I began a process where I was inviting her to relax. This friend was a spiritual medium, and very gifted in a way. And within 20 seconds of beginning this relaxation process, she spoke up and says, "We are Arcturian." I said, "Oh, right, okay, thank you. How come you've come here?" And he says, "It was us. My friend was in a car, her and a friend and two boys driving in a car, and they noticed something in the sky. And they noticed that when they were turning left, this turned left, and when they turned right, it turned right. And they also noticed that it was changing shape from disc shape to cigar shape, and things like this. And as they were driving along, they become aware of a bright light behind a hedgerow, and that was the last they noticed until they got home, and I realised they got home about 50 minutes later than they expected to get home. So the Arcturian says, yes, it was us. And in a conversation with them, they says, it was arranged with my friend Bev, their names. It was arranged with Bev before she was born, that we would come and meet up with her, and she's fully compliant with it. And she's, although she's not particularly conscious of it now, up until now, she was fully compliant with it as a soul before she was born. And it was okay. Actually, Bev was quite happy about it all. It's also interesting that the four in the car, the other three weren't interested in exploring. But she was. Anyway, it went on, and this is in 2020, February in 2020, and just as COVID was breaking in the UK, and I think it got to the States fairly shortly afterwards. But it was just coming in there, and so we were having lots of discussions about what was going on in the world. And just as the session was ending, she said, "We're going to leave now, but we advise you not to overlook your own missing time." And my head suddenly went back to when I was 4 years old in this park, a nature park, on a day out with my father and my older brother. And so I started to explore that. And often in standalone meditations, in one or two regressions with a friend who would guide me through it, and I began to piece together what had happened, mainly myself, but also with help from friends, to get a clearer, more comprehensive idea on what happened. And I went on a ship, and they were looking at me, and I was 4 years old, and I was terrified as 4 years old. And there was a reptilian that was looking at me, and there was a grey being on his shoulder, and I was vaguely aware of others in the background. Yet from going from being terrified, I was suddenly in the presence of another being who was very, very light and very, very reassuring. And this was an Arcturian being, and he said something to me about what's happening on Earth, what's happening with humanity, and how things were going to change in time, and that I can be part of that. I can contribute to that. You know, that's what I've chosen to do. And so that came to an end, and my brother and my father had been looking for me, and they found me asleep on the grass, exactly where they'd been looking already. But suddenly I was there, apparently. And yeah, so that's what happened there. Incidentally, that place, that nature park where all this took place, I've hosted a couple of CE5 events there. I don't know if your viewers are familiar with CE5 events, where often a group will sit in a meditation and seek to make contact with extraterrestrial beings. And yeah, so I've held a couple there.
I won't.
Yeah. So that's what happened there. Incidentally, in one of my meditations, I became aware of a mantis being that appeared to be there at the time that this happened, and I was very confused over this, because I was pretty upset with the reptilian being at the time, because I was so scared.
I think it's important for people to know that, because it's right off the bat, there's labeled all reptilians are bad and all that. But people need to understand, I've said many times, is that each races are no different from the human race, where you have good and bad. So not every
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Every Pleiadian is going to be good. It's
Yeah. Well, one thing, I hosted a channeling session where a friend connected with a mantis being, and I asked, "Were you present at my period of missing time?" And they said, "Yes, yes." And they went on to say that had they been doing the work, they would have done it differently, so that I wasn't so frightened. But then they added, says, "However, that doesn't mean that we would have been able to do it so well." So it's a good illustration, as you say there, reptilian working with other beings that had a positive outlook. They were here to help, rather than just frighten us.
Yeah, and people are afraid too. A lot of people are afraid of praying mantis, and
Yeah.
good praying mantis.
Well, there's the mantis being, there's Arcturian, grey, and reptilian, and there were one or two other Pleiadian and one other, I think, that I'm aware of that were present. But it was also interesting in that there was such a diverse range of them that was there.
Say that, definitely.
Yeah. So what I've come to understand from all that is that they're very interested in supporting humanity as we go through the changes that I've been talking about earlier. Yeah, it does require some kind of shift in the outlook of humanity. We're not actually top dog in the universe. We believe ourselves to be on planet Earth, yet we haven't done the greatest job of looking after planet Earth. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, we destroyed a lot of stuff, and we're pretty aggressive race. I don't want to cut you off, but I do need to take a quick break.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ready when you are.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And welcome back, guys. I am here talking with David Graham, and we're going to go ahead and let you continue. And then towards the end, if people would like to be able to reach out to you if they're interested in your therapy, please make sure to leave your contact information.
Sure. So I talked a little bit about regression. I've talked a little bit about ET contact. One thing I could say a bit more about is past life experiences on other planets. Clients I've had with past life experiences on other planets as mantis beings, or sometimes you find that they're not going to another planet, they're going to a ship and their life is on a ship, and yet the ship is highly advanced. It's often it seems to be a replica of home for them, with all sorts of energies and amenities for them, and some of the tasks that they take on. I can think of one, populating planets, and that's something else I can talk about. After I first trained as a regression therapist, this would have been about 2008 or 9. I attended a workshop where the workshop leader led us in an exercise and asked us to go to the place that we understood to be home. And I went into outer space. Not to a planet, but just into outer space. And what followed on from that was a regression to my first life on planet Earth, where I found myself on a ship and I was alongside a couple of extraterrestrial beings looking at a screen on a wall. I seemed to be studying it, and then I'd find myself in a pod that seemed to be full of what seemed to me to be a kind of wallpaper paste, like a syrup. And I was aware of myself in this, strangely, and then it moved on, and I found myself on the surface of the Earth, in a green place, a grassy field or such, looking up at the sky, and the sky was full of crafts, and many of the crafts had these a light beam going down to the surface, and when I brought my focus to these light beams, I could see little figures within them coming down. So that was my own personal experience of that kind of thing going on. And so it does bring mind to what was happening on planet Earth all those years ago. So that's another variation of experience with extraterrestrial beings. Even now, I can I sometimes offer meditations to make connections with extraterrestrial beings, and I host a kind of discussion group on Zoom every Sunday, for people that are interested in it and wish to explore, and that's open to anyone. We tend to have a mixture of people who are with experiences and those with not with experiences but with a curiosity.
Okay, how can they can you give us the information so that they can know how to?
Yeah, I'll set one up probably in a couple of weeks. What day are we on today? We're on
Today?
Maybe, yeah. Probably I host it on a Sunday evening, evening UK time. In the where you are, I think it'll be early afternoon. It's a 5-hour difference, I think. Yes, I put something out on Facebook, but I can leave my contact details if anybody is interested, and I'll just say, and I'll send them a link, to join that. But it's free for people with experiences. It's free people without experiences. And it's not as though we're telling everyone how it is. You know, we're inviting people to speak about their experiences and what it is that most interests them in this field. So yeah,
On David Graham on Facebook, right?
yeah. You can check me out on Facebook, David Graham. I think we're Facebook friends, aren't we, Monique? So of all the hosts of David Grahams out there, the one that's a friend of Monique would be the one to go for. Yeah. And I'll give out my email address in a while too.
Do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of interesting stuff in that field. There's another aspect of the work I do is in what we call spirit release. That's and that will often focus on souls that have passed away and are stuck, and so we help them to move on. Sometimes it involves people that are plagued by unhealthy energy around them, and we seek to help that person to be relieved of unhealthy energy. We hope to do it in a quite a comprehensive and thorough way, so that we're looking for the cause of it. How come they're there anyway? And is there something unresolved here? Is there something that we can assist with the soul that we're working with? But also in any unhealthy beings that may be there, if there is something that can be done to release them from where they are, if they choose, and to help them to move on in their own journeys. So when I'm doing that work, there's no fighting, there's no blame, there's no nothing like that. We work with a loving intent. We work with beings of light, spirit guides, and with an intention to bring healing and helping energies or souls that are stuck to become unstuck and to be able to move on in their own way. So yeah, so I do quite a lot of that. Built up over 1,000 cases of that now. So that also takes up quite a bit of my time.
Oh, but it's a big way to, a lot of people need this kind of help. So
Yeah. Well, I refer to what I do as remote soul level healing. And so if someone has foreign energy with them, it usually involves addressing that foreign energy and moving on. But also it may address the vulnerability that's allowed that foreign energy to attach to them. And that can lead us to a whole variety of different places. And we check the home, and we check for any malevolent stuff like curses and so on, and seek to enable a person to be in the healthiest place they can be to move forward with their challenges, their life. Yeah.
Curious. You probably didn't hear me, but I was curious when you said you were in this pod that was like a
Oh yeah.
pace. Did you feel comfort, or were you freaked out? I'm really curious.
I was quite in the regression to it. Oh, I seem to be quite comfortable there. In the regression to it, I was wondering, what the heck is this? Like that, and this is wallpaper paste. It's like I could feel it, and so it's as I tell the story, I can imagine the person hearing it might feel a bit puzzled. Yet that is what I was experiencing. You know, that's what I was picking up from that session. Yeah.
They're going to have, I mean, like, they're not all going to breathe in normal oxygen or things.
Well, no, quite. I don't know how that worked. I have to hold my hands up there. I don't know how that worked. Yet I will point out, you know, babies are within a womb. They're within, you know,
Right.
material. Extraterrestrial. If your viewers are open to the idea that extraterrestrial beings do visit here, then how do they get on with breathing and
Okay.
so on?
They
You know,
have ability. And that,
yeah.
you know, and it's interesting too, is that a lot of people, I never had thought about it until much later with studying about ETs, and that is that some can be pretty strongly scented too. You know,
Pretty strongly. What? Sorry.
scented, have a strong odor. Like
Oh, right. Okay.
my visitation with the orange ebens, and they overwhelmingly smelled like ammonia. So I learned
Okay.
to have contact with them and that to ask them to please buffer their smell, because it's
Yeah.
like someone opened the lid on an ammonia bottle right under my nose, and I couldn't get out. It was freaking me out because I couldn't breathe. But I don't know
Okay.
what
Oh, that's
about that when you said that.
that's interesting. In some of the exercises I've done, I've been in a position where I've been able to ask extraterrestrial beings how we might be able to make contact with them most easily. And one of the answers was that, well, if in a meditation, if you use the meditation to go beyond the atmosphere of Earth, is one thing that can be beneficial. But it went on to, you know, so I asked, is there an energy that can assist us, that's safe, yet can assist us to be there in a place where, at a vibration and a space where we can make that contact, and there was, and so I worked with what they, you know, they suggested to me, and what I was getting was a smell of I called it, was a bit like burnt ozone. Have you ever, one of those large printers, laser printers, where it has, you know, sometimes you can get a smell of ozone close to it. And when you talk about the ammonia smell there, it reminds me of my own experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Having,
Except the laser printer smell, it tends to be unpleasant, where this one wasn't unpleasant. It was I was quite comfortable with it, except I couldn't shift it. So it was have showers, go out in the car, everywhere I go I could smell it for a while before it went. But it wasn't unpleasant, as I say.
me thinking, because years ago, when I was with my ex-husband, before I understood anything to do with extraterrestrials and that, I'm wondering if I was experiencing an ET close by, because I could not get this smell of it. Smelled like oh, chemicals from like a carpet factory.
Oh yeah,
And it was like, it was so strong, and I never would have, till just now you're talking, I never,
yeah,
maybe perhaps because they can be right in, you know, just slightly out of our physical
yeah.
dimension. And
Yeah, quite. I agree. Yeah, that they can be present, but you can't see them. They're just at a different vibration. They can be here, you know. And I'm quite accustomed to the idea that they are around me now, even though I don't see them particularly.
Mention, I know because I had picked up on him. You have a ET male guide and that is pretty much predominant around you.
Okay. What, you aware of him now?
What's that?
Are you aware of him now?
Yeah, I can't. I apologize though. I'm a little tired, so I can't quite remember his name. I wanted to say it started with a Z, but I don't.
There's an Arcturian, Galileo.
Galileo. Why did I think Z? Okay, yes, I knew it was. That's it, Galileo. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a little bit about him.
When I told the story about the spiritual medium friend who said it is we are Arcturian, and said don't forget to, don't overlook your own missing time. The bit that I forgot to include in that is they would keep referring to me as brother, and repeatedly saying, it was us, brother, or don't forget your own missing time, brother. And when I inquired about it, I asked, well, does this, I noticed you call me brother, does this mean that I have Arcturian heritage somehow? Yes, brother. And so it went on from there. So yes, I'm sometimes aware and sometimes not aware, but I'm very fond of Galileo, and we seem to work together quite often.
I quite remember that. I don't know why, unless I'm picking up another being, I kept getting a Z, the letter Z. So
Letter what? Sorry.
Z as in zebra.
Oh, Z. Okay, Zaha. Yeah. Okay. I'm aware of one or two guides as well. The one that I'm aware of beginning with is Zaha, Persian origin.
Okay, yeah, because it was like, even though you were talking about Galileo, and I do sense he's by you, I kept feeling this like, please mention me, and I'm hearing this Z, and I'm like, okay, it's a Z. I don't have a name yet, but I kept so that
Yeah. Zaha.
so
Yeah.
he's popping in to say hi.
Yeah. He's very welcome. Thank you.
They're benevolent, and we welcome them, right? So I guess we will go ahead then now and get ready to conclude this, but I do want to make sure that we understand how people can reach out to you. Of course, they can reach out through me on YouTube. They want to, I'll put a little post up on in the community, and then anybody who wants to leave a comment, hey, I'm interested in joining this meeting that your guest that you were interviewing, David Graham, then I can let them know, or they can look for you up on Facebook, or they can look David Graham on Facebook, David Graham from the UK.
Yeah.
They can also go to Third Eye Sister Souls podcast and more on Facebook, and reach me that way through the messenger or whatever, if they would like to.
Does it help to put my email and website address in the chat now? Does that help or not?
I don't know if it will appear on
Okay.
on there or not, but we can definitely. What I will do, I will put a post up in the community chat on my YouTube channel, and that way we will have your email and all that, so people can, if they are interested and would like to attend and maybe get a chance to share their experiences. I think there's a lot of people want to come out, but there's a lot of fear too.
Yeah.
They don't want to feel like they feel crazy, but you gotta let them know they have a safe space there. Right?
Yeah, and I can understand that. I can understand the fear. I've had it myself, in the past, not so much now. But I can understand it. Yet, in the end, we've only got our life to explore who we are and explore the world around us, And it's only exploring. Even though I say this, and even though you say this, Monique, they can make their own decisions, And I wouldn't want it any other way.
Or I just want people to know that if they were to come into your meetings, nobody, you're not going to allow anybody to come in and make them feel like they're crazy or something like that. I just want people to know that it's a very calm, welcoming environment, discussion, and it's like-minded people that are there.
Yeah. One other thing I'll say, this discussion group I have on a Sunday, I'll hold the next one on Sunday, June the 14th. I've only just deciding that now because I'm realising anyone that is listening and is interested will actually want a date. So I'm making that decision now. And it will be 7 p.m. in the UK. Now, there's a 5-hour difference to Eastern time, so it'd be 2 p.m. in Florida, I believe. So you can work it out from there. And you just need to let me know either via Facebook or email or something, and I'll share the link with them.
I think that would be wonderful. Yes, more the merrier. So definitely, I'll put that all up on my community post. I know I am definitely interested, and I would definitely want to attend.
Yeah, you'd be very welcome, Monique. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we are going to wrap it up now, and I just want to thank my viewers out there. We send you light, love, peace, happiness, joy, wherever you are in the world. And have a beautiful, amazing day, evening, night, whatever. And that concludes our interview with the Third Eye Sister Souls podcast and interviewing our guest, David Graham. Thank you.
And thank you, Monique. Thank you for inviting me.